The patrol station known as Haven 9 floated in silent orbit above a blue and white gas giant. Its metal surface reflected distant starlight like a quiet promise of peace, but inside, the station was anything but calm. Species from across the galaxy walked its long halls, their footsteps echoing in different rhythms. Some moved with heavy claws, some glided on soft pads, some walked like humans, upright and careful. Lieutenant Marcus Hale moved through the corridor with his hands behind his back, eyes forward. He had learned quickly that on Haven 9, humans were always being watched. Not in a friendly way, but in a curious way, like something small and strange that didn't quite belong in a place full of predators. Humans were new to the Galactic Coalition. Compared to many species, they were not very strong. They did not have sharp teeth, thick scales, or natural armor. What they had instead was patience, planning, and a strange calm that others did not understand. Marcus stopped at a wide door marked with glowing symbols. This was the command room. Inside, leaders from different species discussed patrol routes and threat reports. He took a breath and stepped in. The room grew quieter when he entered. At the center of the room stood Rixa, a Keshari scout. The Keshari were tall, dog-like beings with thick fur, long ears, and sharp eyes that never seemed to blink. They were known for their warrior culture and strong sense of rank. Among their kind, respect was earned through challenge, not words. Rixa's tail flicked when she saw Marcus. Her ears tilted forward. She had been waiting for him. The station commander, a tall insect-like being named Threx, clicked its mandibles together. "Lieutenant Hale, you are late." "By 2 minutes," Marcus said calmly. The corridor was blocked by a supply transfer. Threx waved a claw. "Sit, we were discussing the outer patrol zones." Marcus took a seat at the circular table. Around him were beings of all shapes and sizes. Some looked at him with mild interest. Others looked away. Rixa did not look away. The meeting continued. Threx spoke about strange signals near the edge of Coalition space. Several ships had gone silent. The Keshari wanted to respond with a show of force. The Avori, a bird-like species, wanted to gather more information first. Marcus listened. When Threx asked for his opinion, he leaned forward slightly. "I think we should send a small team first," Marcus said. "Not a full fleet. If we rush in, we may walk into a trap." Rixa made a low sound in her throat. "That is the thinking of prey," she said. "You wait and hide while the hunter moves." Marcus turned to face her. "No, that is the thinking of a planner. Hunters who rush without thinking often get caught." A few beings around the table shifted. The tension was easy to feel. Rixa stood up slowly. She was taller than Marcus by a full head. Her shadow fell over him. "You speak as if you are a leader," she said. "But you are soft, you are small, you have no claws, no fangs. What makes you think you should command warriors?" Marcus stood as well. He kept his hands at his sides. His voice stayed calm. "I don't need claws to lead," he said. "I need a team that trusts me." Rixa stepped closer. Her breath was warm and sharp. "Trust is earned," she said. "Among my people, we test those who claim to lead." Marcus did not step back. Rixa's ears flattened. In one fast movement, she snapped forward and bit his armored sleeve. The sound of teeth hitting metal echoed through the room. Everything froze. Several guards reached for their weapons. Threx raised both claws in shock. No one had expected Rixa to go that far. Marcus looked down at his arm. The fabric was torn. The metal plating beneath was scratched but not broken. Slowly, he lifted his eyes to meet Rixa's. He did not shout. He did not strike back. He reached up and unclipped the damaged sleeve, letting it fall to the floor. "That's one warning," Marcus said. His voice was quiet, but it carried through the room. "You won't get a second." Rixa blinked. She had expected anger, fear, retreat. She got none of those. Threx clicked loudly. "Enough, both of you. This is a command room, not a fighting pit." Rixa stepped back, confused but not defeated. Marcus sat down, his face calm, though his heart was beating fast. The meeting ended shortly after. Orders were given. A small team would be sent to investigate the missing ships. Marcus was placed in charge. Rixa was assigned to his team. The hangar bay was large and open, filled with ships of different shapes. Marcus stood near a sleek human vessel called the Pathfinder. It was not the biggest ship in the bay, but it was fast and filled with advanced systems. Rixa approached, her steps quiet on the metal floor. "You lead this mission," she said. It was not a question. "Yes," Marcus replied. She crossed her arms. "I do not understand why." Marcus checked his tablet. "You don't have to understand, you just have to work with me." Rixa studied him for a long moment. On my world, leaders prove themselves through strength. On mine, Marcus said, we prove ourselves by bringing our people home alive. The crew began to board. A few humans, a Keshari engineer, and an Avori pilot took their places. Rixa stood near the back of the ship, watching Marcus as he moved through the pre-launch checks. The Pathfinder lifted off smoothly, leaving Haven 9 behind. Space stretched out around them, dark and endless. As they traveled, Marcus went over the plan. They would move quietly using passive sensors. No loud signals, no direct challenges. Rixa listened, but her ears twitched with doubt. Your way feels like hiding, she said. Marcus shook his head. It's not hiding, it's choosing when to be seen. Hours passed. The ship entered the area where the signals had gone silent. The stars here looked different, dimmer. The space felt heavy, like something was watching. The Avori pilot spoke softly. I am picking up debris. The screen showed broken pieces of metal drifting in slow motion, ship parts, weapons, armor. This was not a simple attack, Marcus said. This was a hunt. Rixa's tail lowered. Even Keshari patrols do not fall so easily. The Pathfinder moved deeper. Then the sensors flared. Multiple contacts, the pilot said. Large ships hiding behind the debris field. Marcus raised a hand. Kill the main lights, power down everything except life support and passive systems. The ship went dark. Outside, shadows moved. Massive shapes slid past the debris, silent and slow. Enemy ships built like armored beasts covered in thick plating and glowing lines. Rixa felt a chill run through her fur. They are hunters, she whispered. Yes, Marcus said, and they think we don't know they're here. The enemy ships began to move, forming a wide circle around where the Pathfinder had been. Marcus watched the screen carefully. Now, he said. Small drones launched from hidden ports on the Pathfinder. They drifted out into space, sending out false signals, fake heat, fake engine traces. The enemy ships turned, rushing toward the wrong target. Rixa stared at the screen. You tricked them. Marcus allowed himself a small smile. We showed them what they wanted to see. The Pathfinder slipped past the enemy line, silent and unseen. But the moment did not last. One of the enemy ships stopped. It turned slowly, like a great beast sniffing the air. It knows, Rixa said. The ship fired a wide scan pulse. Alarms rang. Engines now, Marcus ordered. The Pathfinder surged forward, lights blazing, systems roaring to life. The enemy fleet moved as one. Rixa grabbed a railing as the ship shook. Her eyes were wide, but there was something else there now. Excitement. Your way is dangerous, she said. Marcus leaned forward in his seat. So is yours. The difference is I planned for it. The stars ahead twisted as the Pathfinder jumped into faster travel. Behind them, the enemy fleet followed. Rixa looked at Marcus, really looked at him, not as a soft human, not as a weak leader, but as something new, something unpredictable. The bite in the command room felt like a long time ago. Now the hunt had truly begun. The Pathfinder moved through space like a sharp blade cutting through dark water. Its engines glowed soft blue as it pushed forward, leaving the enemy fleet behind for a moment. Inside the ship, the air felt heavy. Everyone knew the chase was not over. It had only begun. Marcus stood behind the pilot's seat, his hands resting on the backrest. His eyes moved between the sensor screen and the starfield outside. The enemy ships were still there, small points of light that refused to fade. They are fast, the Avori pilot said quietly. Faster than we expected. Marcus nodded. But they are not patient. Rixa stood near the side wall, arms crossed, her tail moving slowly from side to side. Her sharp eyes followed every movement on the screen. Among her people, a chase like this was a test of pride. The one who stopped first was the one who lost. They will not stop, she said. Hunters like this do not let prey go. Marcus looked at her. Then we stop being prey. The Pathfinder dropped out of fast travel near a wide field of broken rock and ice. Large chunks floated in every direction, forming a maze in space. It was the remains of an ancient moon that had been torn apart long ago. The pilot turned to Marcus. This place is dangerous. Navigation will be hard. That's why we're here, Marcus said. Take us in, slow and quiet. The ship drifted into the field, weaving between massive stones. Some pieces were as big as cities, others were small enough to spin like coins. Rixa felt her fur rise slightly. This was not open space. This was a trap waiting to happen. The enemy fleet appeared at the edge of the field. Their ships slowed, their glowing lines dimming as they approached. They are careful now, Rixa said. They learn. Good, Marcus replied. Let's teach them more. He tapped commands into his tablet. The Pathfinder released more drones, but these were different. They clung to the rocks, hiding their signals, waiting. The enemy ships entered the field in a wide formation. Their heavy frames moved slowly, pushing smaller rocks aside. One of them fired a weapon. A beam of light cut through a large stone, turning it into a cloud of dust. Rixa growled softly. "They break everything in their path." "Yes," Marcus said, "so we'll make the path break them." The first drone activated. It sent out a strong signal like a ship engine starting up. The enemy closest to it turned and fired. The beam hit a rock instead. The rock shattered. Pieces flew in all directions. Another drone activated on the opposite side. Another enemy ship turned. Soon the field was filled with flashing lights and flying debris. The Pathfinder stayed quiet, slipping through the chaos. Rixa watched in awe. "You make them fight the world itself." Marcus smiled slightly. "The world is always on our side, we just remind it." But the enemy was not foolish. One of the larger ships stopped firing. It began sending out slow, steady scan waves. The waves moved through the rocks like invisible hands. The Pathfinder's systems began to flicker. "They see us," the pilot said. Marcus's eyes narrowed. "All power to shields, prepare for impact." The enemy ship fired. A blast of energy hit a nearby rock, sending it spinning straight toward the Pathfinder. "Hard right," Marcus shouted. The ship turned sharply. The rock scraped past the hull, shaking the entire vessel. Rixa grabbed a rail to stay on her feet. Her heart pounded, but her eyes were bright. "This is not fear," she thought. "This is something else." Excitement. The Pathfinder burst out of the rock field and into open space. The enemy fleet followed, their formation tighter now, more focused. The pilot looked back. "They are gaining." Marcus studied the map. Ahead was a strange area of space where gravity pulled in odd directions. Stars there looked stretched and bent. "We go through the drift zone," Marcus said. Rix's ears flattened. "Even my people avoid that place. Ships vanish there." "Then they won't expect us to use it," Marcus replied. The Pathfinder entered the zone. Inside, everything felt wrong. The ship's systems struggled to understand which way was up or down. Lights flickered. The floor seemed to tilt even though it did not move. The enemy fleet hesitated at the edge. "They fear it," Rixa said. "Yes," Marcus said, "and so do we, but fear doesn't have to stop you." The Pathfinder pushed deeper. The gravity pulled at the ship, slow and strong. The pilot fought the controls, wings trembling. Marcus moved to the side panel and began adjusting manual settings. "Follow my lead," he said. "Trust the numbers, not what you see." Rixa watched him work. His hands were steady, even as alarms rang around him. The enemy fleet entered the zone behind them. Almost at once, one of the enemy ships spun out of control, pulled by a sudden shift in gravity. It crashed into another, both vanishing in a flash of light. Rixa's eyes widened. "The zone fights back." Marcus nodded. "It doesn't care who you are." The Pathfinder weaved through invisible currents. The pilot followed Marcus's commands exactly. Another enemy ship was pulled downward, crushed by pressure that no one could see. But the largest enemy ship kept coming. It was slow but powerful, pushing through the zone like a mountain moving through water. "They will not stop," Rixa said. Marcus looked at the ship on the screen. "Then we make them choose." He ordered the Pathfinder to slow down. The pilot turned. "Slow down, they'll catch us." "That's the point," Marcus said. The Pathfinder drifted near a cluster of glowing energy clouds inside the zone. They pulsed like giant hearts. "What are those?" Rixa asked. "Unstable gravity wells," Marcus replied. "Touch one and space gets very angry." The large enemy ship moved closer, weapons charging. Marcus launched a final drone. It flew straight at the glowing cloud, sending out strong signals that looked like the Pathfinder's engine. The enemy ship fired. The beam missed the drone and hit the cloud. Space seemed to fold in on itself. The gravity well exploded outward, pulling everything nearby toward it. The enemy ship tried to turn, but it was too slow. It was dragged into the light, its massive body twisting and breaking apart. The Pathfinder barely escaped, its shields flaring as it was thrown clear. Silence followed. The enemy fleet was gone. The ship drifted in calm space once more. Inside the Pathfinder, no one spoke for a long moment. Then the pilot laughed softly. "We're alive." Rixa let out a breath she didn't know she was holding. She walked over to Marcus. "On my world," she said, "leaders fight in front. They strike first and hardest." Marcus met her gaze. "On mine, leaders make sure everyone gets home." Rixa lowered her head slightly. It was not a full bow, but it was something close. You did not run, she said. You led. Marcus gave a small smile. You didn't run either. A soft sound escaped Rix's throat, almost like a laugh. The Pathfinder turned back toward Coalition space, but the journey was not over. A new signal appeared on the screen, not from the enemy. It was a distress call. Human. Broken and weak. Unknown human ship, the pilot said. Severe damage, no movement. Marcus straightened. Bring it up on screen. The image showed a small transport drifting, its hull burned and cracked. Rixa felt something shift inside her. She had seen humans as clever, strange, and dangerous. Now she saw one alone, vulnerable. We can't leave them, Marcus said. The Pathfinder moved closer. As they did, a shadow passed behind the damaged ship. Rix's ears snapped up. That is no wreck. Marcus's hand moved toward the alert panel. The hunt was not over. It had only changed its shape. The Pathfinder moved slowly toward the damaged human transport. Its lights stayed low, its weapons systems warm but silent. The broken ship drifted in front of them like a wounded animal, its metal skin torn open in many places. Small pieces of debris floated around it, turning slowly in the quiet of space. Marcus stood beside the main screen, his eyes fixed on the image. Scan for life signs, he said. The Avori pilot tapped at the controls. I am picking up one human life signal, weak but still there. Rix's ears tilted forward. She felt something tight in her chest. She did not know why. Humans were not her kind. They were not her people. But she had flown with Marcus long enough to see how much humans cared for their own. Bring us closer, Marcus said. The Pathfinder eased forward, matching speed with the drifting transport. A long metal arm extended from the side of their ship and locked onto the broken hull. Airlock connection ready, the pilot said. Marcus turned to Rixa. You stay here. Rixa shook her head at once. No, this is my mission too. Marcus studied her for a moment, then he nodded. Stay close, we don't know what's inside. They put on their helmets and moved into the airlock. The door opened with a hiss, and cold air rushed past them as they stepped into the damaged ship. The inside was dark. Emergency lights blinked weakly, casting long shadows on the walls. The air smelled of burned metal and old smoke. Marcus raised his light and moved forward. Rixa followed, her steps quiet, her senses sharp. They passed empty seats, loose cables, and broken screens. The ship had been hit hard. Human life sign is forward, the pilot's voice came through their comms. Near the cockpit. They moved faster. The cockpit door was bent, half open. Inside, a human lay slumped in the pilot's seat. His uniform was torn. Blood floated in small drops around him. Marcus rushed forward. I've got you, he said softly, even though the man could not hear him. He checked the man's pulse. It was weak but steady. Rixa, help me get him back to the Pathfinder. She nodded and moved to support the man's weight. As they turned, the lights flickered. Rixa froze, her ears flattened, her tail went still. Marcus felt it too. The feeling that they were not alone. A sound echoed through the hallway behind them, slow, heavy, metal scraping against metal. Marcus lowered the injured human gently into Rixa's arms. Go, he whispered. Now, Rixa hesitated. What about you? I'll follow, Marcus said. The sound grew louder. A shadow appeared at the end of the hallway. It was tall and wide, its body covered in thick armor plates. Its head was long, with glowing eyes set deep inside a hard shell. Its arms ended in heavy claws that cut into the floor with every step. The hunter. Rixa felt her heart race. This was no simple enemy. This was a creature built for war. Marcus stepped forward, placing himself between it and Rixa. The creature stopped. It tilted its head, studying Marcus like an animal studies a strange shape in the dark. Rixa backed away slowly, carrying the injured human. She did not want to leave Marcus. Every part of her told her to stay and fight, but she remembered his words. Leaders make sure everyone gets home. She turned and ran. The creature roared and lunged. Marcus fired his weapon. The blast hit the creature's chest, knocking it back a step, but it did not fall. It charged again. Marcus dodged to the side, rolling across the floor. He fired again, aiming for the joints in the armor. The creature swung a claw. The metal wall behind Marcus exploded into sparks. Marcus ran. He led the creature away from the airlock, down a side corridor. Rixa, get out of here, he said into the comm. I am not leaving you, Rixa replied. Rixa, that's an order, Marcus said. She reached the airlock. The Pathfinder's door was open, waiting. She looked back down the dark hallway. She heard Marcus breathing hard through the comm. She heard the heavy steps of the hunter. Her hands shook. She placed the injured human inside the Pathfinder and sealed the door. Then she turned around. I am not prey, she whispered to herself. She ran back into the broken ship. Marcus stumbled as the creature slammed him into a wall. Pain shot through his side. His weapon skidded across the floor. The creature raised its claws. A blur of movement hit it from the side. Rixa. She leaped onto the creature's back, digging her claws into the gaps in its armor. She growled, a deep, wild sound that filled the corridor. The creature roared and shook, trying to throw her off. Marcus grabbed his weapon and fired again, hitting the creature in the side of the head. The armor cracked. The creature stumbled. Rixa jumped away as it fell to one knee. Marcus aimed carefully. He fired one last time. The blast hit the cracked armor. The creature collapsed, its glowing eyes fading. Silence returned to the ship. Marcus leaned against the wall, breathing hard. Rixa stood beside him, her fur standing on end, her chest rising and falling. For a moment, neither of them spoke. Then Marcus laughed softly. You disobeyed a direct order. Rixa bared her teeth in something close to a smile. On my world, we do not leave our pack behind. Marcus met her eyes. Welcome to mine. They made their way back to the Pathfinder. The crew rushed to help the injured human, carrying him to the medical bay. The ship pulled away from the broken transport, leaving it drifting in the dark. Rixa sat in one of the seats near the main screen. Her hands were still shaking. Marcus sat across from her. You saved my life, he said. Rixa looked down. You would have done the same. Yes, Marcus said, but you didn't have to. Rixa thought about the moment she had turned back, about the fear, about the choice. I wanted to, she said. The pilot spoke up. We are receiving a signal from Coalition Command. They want a report. Marcus nodded. Send them everything. The Pathfinder turned toward home. But as they traveled, Rixa kept thinking about the creature, about the way it had hunted, about the way it had waited in the shadows. Marcus, she said, those hunters, they are not just raiders, they are soldiers. Marcus's face grew serious. I know. They knew about the human ship, Rixa continued. They used it as bait. Yes, Marcus said, which means they are learning. A new message appeared on the screen. Encrypted. Human. Marcus opened it. His eyes widened. What is it? Rixa asked. Marcus looked at her. It's a warning from a human outpost near the edge of Coalition space. The message played. A tired human face filled the screen. If you are seeing this, the message said, they are already moving. The hunters are gathering, not just a fleet, an army. The screen went dark. Silence filled the Pathfinder. Rixa felt a cold weight settle in her chest. An army, she whispered. Marcus stood up. Then we don't run, we don't hide. Rixa rose beside him. What do we do? She asked. Marcus looked out at the stars ahead. We prepare, he said, and we show them what happens when they hunt humanity. Rixa felt a strange fire inside her, not fear, not excitement. Something stronger. Loyalty. The Pathfinder jumped into faster travel, racing toward a future filled with war, choice, and a bond between two species that had begun with a single bite. The Pathfinder arrived at the human outpost as alarms filled the dark of space. The station, called Farwatch, floated near a dying star, its lights flickering like a tired heartbeat. Around it, human ships and coalition vessels moved into position, forming a wide ZHT ring. The stars beyond were quiet, but everyone knew that silence would not last. Marcus stood on the bridge watching the screen. Signals from Farwatch painted a clear picture. The hunter army was coming. Rixa stood beside him, her ears forward, her tail low but steady. She had never seen so many ships gathered in one place. Human ships were smaller than most coalition vessels, but there were many of them. They moved in careful lines, like a living wall. The commander of Farwatch appeared on the screen. She was human older, her face marked with lines of stress and long nights without sleep. Lieutenant Hale, she said, we're glad you made it. Long-range scans confirm it. They're less than 2 hours out. Marcus nodded. How many? The commander took a breath. More than we've ever seen. This isn't a raid. This is a push. They want this system. Rixa felt her fur rise. Her people fought in packs. This was something larger. Marcus turned to his crew. All hands battle stations. Follow the plan we sent earlier. The Pathfinder moved into its place among the human ships near the center of the line. Rixa watched as humans worked together, their voices calm, their movements fast but controlled. There was no shouting, no panic, just focus. This is strange, she said quietly to Marcus. Your people do not act like prey before a storm. Marcus gave a small smile. We've had a lot of storms. The first enemy ships appeared on the edge of the screen. Then more still. A dark wave moving through the stars. The hunter army. Their ships were heavy and wide, covered in thick armor. They moved in tight formation like a wall of steel. The coalition ships opened fire first. Bright lines of energy crossed the space between the fleets. Explosions flashed like silent thunder. The hunters pushed forward. Marcus raised his hand. "Hold, not yet." Rixa looked at him. "They are coming fast." "I know," Marcus said. "Let them think we're scared." The hunter ships moved closer, their weapons charging. "Now," Marcus said. Human ships launched hundreds of drones. The drones did not fly straight at the enemy. They spread out, moving in wide arcs, sending out false signals, fake ship images, and noise across every channel. The hunter formation wavered. Some ships fired at the drones. Others kept moving forward. Then the real human ships fired. Missiles and energy blasts hit the hunter fleet from the sides, from behind, from angles the hunters had not expected. Rixa watched in amazement. "You hide your teeth behind shadows," Marcus nodded. "We don't show our strength, we let it surprise." The battle spread across the stars. Ships moved and turned, fired and dodged. Light and fire filled the dark, but the hunters kept coming. A massive ship moved to the front of their formation, larger than the others, thicker armor, stronger shields. Rixa felt a chill. "That is their leader ship," Marcus studied it. "Then that's our target." The Pathfinder broke from the human line and moved forward. "Marcus," Rixa said, "that ship will crush us." "Not if it never gets the chance," he replied. The Pathfinder flew straight toward the massive hunter ship. Rixa grabbed a rail. "You are crazy," Marcus smiled. "A little." The hunter ship fired. A beam of energy passed so close that the Pathfinder's shields flared bright white. Marcus changed course suddenly, diving under the larger ship. "Launch the beacon," he ordered. A small device shot out from the Pathfinder and attached itself to the hunter ship's hull. Rixa watched the screen. "What does that do?" "It tells everyone where they are," Marcus said. Human and coalition ships locked onto the beacon's signal. The massive hunter ship became the center of the battlefield. Blasts hit its shields from all sides, but the shields held. The hunter ship turned, trying to crush the Pathfinder with its size. Marcus pulled the Pathfinder up and away just in time. "Shields at 50%, the pilot said. Rix's heart pounded. "We cannot keep this up." Marcus's eyes moved to the star behind Farwatch. The dying star glowed red and unstable. An idea formed. "Pilot," Marcus said, "can you get us close to the star's gravity edge?" The pilot hesitated. "That's dangerous." "Yes," Marcus said, "but so is losing." The Pathfinder raced toward the star. The heat and light grew stronger. The hunter leader ship followed. "They are chasing us," Rixa said. "Good," Marcus replied. "That means they're not thinking." The Pathfinder reached the edge of the star's gravity pull. The ship shook as invisible forces grabbed at it. Marcus turned the ship sideways, flying along the edge instead of into it. The hunter ship was not so careful. It followed straight in. The star's gravity caught it. The massive ship slowed, then began to fall toward the glowing surface of the star. The hunter ship fired wildly, trying to escape. Marcus launched one final drone. It flew close to the hunter ship, sending out a strong engine signal, pulling its attention. The hunter ship turned slightly, fighting the pull. It wasn't enough. The star took it. The massive ship disappeared in a flash of light and fire. Silence spread across the battlefield. The remaining hunter ships hesitated, then they turned and fled. Rixa let out a long breath. "You used a star as a weapon." Marcus leaned back in his seat. "We use whatever we have." The human and coalition ships cheered across the comms. Farwatch was safe. The Pathfinder returned to the station. Later, in a quiet room overlooking the stars, Marcus and Rixa stood together. The battle felt far away now, like a dream. Rixa turned to him. "On my world, we mark great warriors with scars or symbols." Marcus raised an eyebrow. "I don't think I want a scar from you." Rixa made a soft sound, almost a laugh. "Not a scar, a sign of respect." She reached out and touched the place on his arm where she had bitten him days ago. "That is where our story began," she said. Marcus looked at her hand, then at her face. "It began with a challenge." "Yes," Rixa said, "and it became something else." They stood in silence, watching the stars. A message appeared on Marcus's wrist screen. Coalition command. Humans were being asked to take a new role in the alliance. Strategists, leaders, not because they were the strongest, not because they were the fiercest, but because they were the ones who saw the whole battlefield. Marcus showed the message to Rixa. She read it slowly. "My people once thought humans were weak," she said. "Now they will think twice before saying that again." Marcus smiled. "That's all we ever wanted, a fair chance." Rixa straightened. She placed her fist against her chest in the Keshari warrior's salute. "You have my respect, Marcus Hale," she said, "not as prey, not as soft leader, but as pack leader." Marcus returned the gesture in his own way, placing his hand over his heart. "And you have mine, Rixa," he said, "as friend, as warrior, as family." The Pathfinder waited outside, ready for its next journey. The stars stretched out before them, wide and unknown. Somewhere out there, new dangers waited, but so did new allies, and now across the galaxy a new story was spreading. A story about humans, not the strongest. Not the fastest, but the ones who never stopped thinking, never stopped standing, and never ever stopped protecting their pack.